Right, so looking to get the full story on this Virat Kohli situation from the Boxing Day test, we've got some articles from the Economic Times, some stuff circulating on Twitter. Uh, let's do a deep dive into all this cricket controversy.
Yeah, this one goes way beyond just looking at the scorecard. We're
Right.
talking about sportsmanship, a player's legacy, and how
Yeah.
one incident can just spiral through the media and then public opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, the setting is pretty dramatic for this Boxing Day test at the MCG. It's one of the biggest stages for cricket, right? And you've got Virat Kohli, this veteran superstar, going up against a 19-year-old Aussie making his debut. Sam Constas, talk about pressure.
Yeah, and Constance is not backing down at all. He's hitting boundaries off of India's top bowlers. I mean,
Ah,
to debut against a team like India is one thing, but to do it with this level of confidence is pretty special.
it's like a sports movie, right?
Yeah.
You've got the rookie going up against the veteran, and then that's where things get really interesting. Kohli makes physical contact with Constas. I mean, it's not like a full-on shove, but definitely a bump that got noticed by everybody.
Right. It got him a 20% match fee fine and a demerit point from the ICC.
Okay.
Now, to understand the weight of that, we need to talk about the ICC's code of conduct.
Okay.
They have different levels of offenses, right? And physical contact used to be a level 2 offense, which could lead to a suspension. But after the Australian ball tampering scandal a few years back, it was downgraded to level 1.
Oh, so that's why Kohli wasn't suspended.
Exactly.
So it was still a serious offense,
Yeah.
but not serious enough to ban him from playing.
Right. And that's what's sparking all this debate. Like, are the rules actually achieving what they're supposed to? Are they striking the right balance between, keeping that spirit of the game, but also acknowledging that things can get heated on the field?
It's like they're walking a tightrope, right, the ICC.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the integrity of the game but not be overly harsh in their punishments.
Yeah. Right.
But while the ICC is, making their judgment, the Aussie media is going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the headlines are calling Kohli a clown, questioning his legacy. Some are even saying he should be banned from playing in Australia ever again.
It's definitely a strong reaction, and I think some of it is fueled by Kohli's recent performance. His test average has taken a dip, which makes this incident almost symbolic.
Right. That's like people are looking for cracks in the armor, right?
Exactly.
Like if his performance is slipping, maybe his composure is too, but are they overreacting? Or is this a legitimate concern about Kohli's behavior and what it means for him in the game?
That's the big question. Even former players are weighing in. Ricky Ponting, he thinks that the penalty was too light, and Adam Gilchrist has questioned if signs even matter to players who are earning as much as Kohli.
It's an interesting point, right?
Mm.
Does a financial penalty really hurt when you're already at the top making millions?
Yeah.
But beyond the penalty itself, there's the question of, Kohli's reputation. Does this actually tarnish his legacy?
I think we can't ignore the fact that this happened on one of cricket's biggest stages during one of the most iconic matches of the year.
Right.
The Boxing Day test has a huge following. It's steeped in tradition, and so that spotlight is a lot brighter.
Yeah, you can't escape the weight of all those expectations that come with playing at the MCG on Boxing Day.
Right.
But in the middle of all this drama, Constas seems completely unfazed. He goes on to score 60 runs on his debut.
Which adds another layer to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Here's this young guy facing a legend of the game who's clearly not happy with him, and he delivers a solid performance under immense pressure.
It's almost poetic.
Yeah.
It's like the passing of the torch, the veteran facing his demons while the newcomer is rising to the occasion. And it's not just his performance that's impressive.
Yeah.
There's this story going around about Constas's dad making him face incredibly fast bowling in the nets when he was younger.
Oh.
Imagine the kind of mental toughness you develop facing those speeds as a kid. It might explain why he seems so unfazed by Kohli's antics. But it's like he was prepared for this kind of battle.
That's incredible.
Okay, but let's talk about how the media is portraying all of this because, some of these headlines are brutal. They're not holding back.
Not at all. You've got FOX Sports running an article titled, "He Won't Be Too Proud. Great Speak Out on Kohli Amid Concerns of Legacy in Australia." And then there's Wide World of Sports quoting Steve Waugh saying, "He was extremely lucky to escape a ban."
And SEN Cricket is even calling for the ICC to ban Kohli from playing in Australia ever again. It's like everyone's piling on, feeding off this one incident.
Which is where we need to be careful, right? Are these outlets genuinely concerned about Kohli's behavior, or are they just trying to grab attention with these sensational headlines?
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes, and this is exactly what we're here to unpack, right?
Right.
Is this genuine concern or just media hype? Is Kohli really losing his edge, or is this just, a bump in the road?
These are the questions we'll be exploring as we dive deeper into the media coverage. Kohli's recent form and Constance's remarkable debut.
Right.
It's not just about this one incident, it's about understanding the context, the different perspectives, and the potential biases at play.
Because what may seem like a simple bump on the field can actually reveal a whole lot more about the players, the game, and the media landscape surrounding it.
Exactly, and that's what makes this deep dive so intriguing. It's a chance to go beyond the surface and really understand the complexities of the situation.
So buckle up, folks. We're just getting started.
Let's unpack how the media is framing this whole Kohli-Constance situation because it's fascinating to see the different angles they're taking.
Yeah, it seems like every outlet has a different take on it.
Yeah.
Some are focusing on Kohli's declining form, like using this incident as proof that he's past his prime. They're pointing to his test average, which has dropped, quite a bit.
Yeah, it's true that his recent numbers aren't what we're used to seeing from Kohli. I mean, every athlete experiences dips in form, right? The question is this a temporary slump or a sign of a more permanent decline? And is it even fair to judge him solely on his test performance, when his ODI record is still pretty strong?
That's a good point. It's like judging a painter only on their landscapes when they've also mastered portraits.
Exactly.
And let's not forget about Constance's role in all this.
Yeah.
The kid's got talent. He didn't back down from Kohli at all. In fact, it seemed like he thrived under that pressure.
Absolutely. And you see that reflected in the media coverage too, right? There are all these articles and tweets highlighting Constance's fearlessness, his composure, and that impressive debut performance he's being portrayed as a symbol of, the changing of the guard, the young gun challenging the establishment.
It's that classic underdog story that people love to get behind.
Yeah.
And then there's that story about Constance's dad making him face those insanely fast bowlers when he was just a kid in the nets.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
It's like they were almost preparing him for this moment, even without knowing it.
Right.
But it makes you wonder, how much of this media coverage is about reporting the facts versus generating buzz and keeping people hooked.
That's the media landscape we live in, right? The more dramatic the headline, the more clicks you get and controversy sells. So,
Yeah.
We have to be mindful of those incentives.
It's like we're constantly bombarded with information, and it's up to us to figure out, what's genuine and what's just noise.
Exactly. We need to think critically about it, consider the sources, their potential biases and motivations. Are they presenting a balanced view or are they pushing a particular agenda?
So don't just take the headlines at face value. Dig a little deeper, look at the evidence, and form your own conclusion.
That's the key. Remember, there are always multiple perspectives to every story, and the truth is usually somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so where does all this leave Kohli? I mean, is his reputation permanently damaged, or can he bounce back from this?
That's the big question, isn't it? This incident, along with, his recent form slump, it's definitely put him at a crossroads. It's a pivotal moment in his career.
But this is Virat Kohli we're talking about. He's broken countless records. He's achieved legendary status. I mean, surely he has the resilience to overcome this.
He definitely has the talent and the determination. But, this incident raises some valid concerns about his leadership, his ability to handle pressure, and ultimately his place in the game.
Yeah, it's like everyone's waiting to see what his next move will be. Will he address the controversy head on, or will he double down on his intensity, or maybe take a step back and try to find a new balance?
Yeah, it's a fascinating psychological study, watching how an athlete of his caliber responds to this kind of scrutiny and adversity. And it's a reminder that even the greatest players are human. They make mistakes, they face challenges. No one's immune to that.
It really makes you think about the pressure these athletes are under. Not just to perform, but to maintain a certain image, and how that constant scrutiny can affect them not just on the field, but off the field as well.
It's a side of professional sports that we don't always see, but it's definitely the mental toll, the emotional burden, the impact on their personal lives.
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about, not just about cricket, but about, the pressures of fame, the power of the media, and our own perceptions of these athletes.
Absolutely. We've explored the incident, the media's reaction, the debate about Kohli's legacy, and these bigger questions about sportsmanship, media ethics, and public perception.
We've given you the key facts and the different perspectives. Now it's up to you to decide, is Kohli still the GOD, or is he becoming a cautionary tale?
Right, and this leads us to a final thought-provoking question. How much does media scrutiny actually influence our perception of these athletes? Are we too quick to judge based on, isolated incidents?
Yeah, I mean, are we holding these athletes to an unrealistic standard? Are we forgetting that they're human beings capable of making mistakes?
And how does this constant scrutiny affect, their performance, their mental well-being, their overall lives? These are all things to consider as we continue to follow this story.
This has been an incredible deep dive, and we've still got more to explore. We've covered Kohli's situation, the media frenzy, the impact on his legacy. But there's another side to this story that we haven't fully explored yet, the rise of Sam Constas.
So, let's shift gears a bit here and really focus on Sam Constas. This young man stepped onto one of cricket's biggest stages, facing off against a legend like Kohli. And he didn't just survive, he thrived.
It's almost symbolic, right?
Yeah.
The veteran facing all this scrutiny while a newcomer is shining.
Exactly. It's this compelling narrative of, a rising star seizing his opportunity on the biggest stage. And we've talked about his impressive debut score, but I think what's even more striking is his temperament.
Oh, yeah. To be able to handle that kind of pressure, the media attention, and just the intensity of Kohli's presence and still deliver, a strong performance. That says a lot about his mental fortitude.
It's the kind of mental toughness that you can't teach, right? It comes from within, and it's often forged through challenges like the ones that Constas faced early on, facing those blistering fastballs in the nets.
Yeah, that story about his dad's training methods really highlights, the dedication and the preparation that goes into shaping a top-level athlete. It's like they were almost, laying the groundwork for this moment, even without realizing it.
Right, and it makes you wonder how much of an athlete's success is predetermined versus the result of circumstance and opportunity,
Right.
Was Constas destined for greatness, or did this clash with Kohli ignite something within him?
It's just a fascinating question. Nature versus nurture in the world of elite sports.
Yeah.
But regardless of the answer, one thing's for sure. Constas has announced his arrival in a big way.
He has, and he's done it with a level of grace and composure that's truly remarkable. He didn't get caught up in all the drama surrounding Kohli. He didn't let the pressure get to him. He just focused on his game and let his performance do the talking.
It's a lesson in focus and resilience.
Yeah.
Not just for athletes, but for anyone facing a tough situation. Sometimes the best way to silence the critics is to simply perform at your best.
And that's exactly what he did. He didn't engage in any of the verbal sparring. He didn't let the emotions of the moment, dictate his actions. He stayed true to himself and his game, and ultimately that's what earned him respect.
So, while this deep dive started with the Kohli controversy, it's also become a story about the emergence of a potential new star in Sam Constas. It's a reminder that even amidst, controversy and scrutiny, there's always room for new narratives to emerge, for fresh talent to, make its mark.
And that's the beauty of sports, isn't it? It's constantly evolving with new chapters being written, new heroes emerging, and, we as fans get to witness all these stories unfold in real time.
We've explored this clash between, a veteran facing a turning point in his career and a newcomer announcing his arrival. We've analyzed the media's role in shaping these narratives, the pressures that these athletes face, and the importance of mental toughness.
Absolutely. We've unpacked the Kohli incident from all angles, considering the different perspectives, the potential biases, and the, ethical questions it raises.
It's been a deep dive into not just a single cricket match, but the larger world of sports media and public perception.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this episode, we'll leave you with this final thought. The future of cricket is in good hands with young talents like Sam Constas ready to take center stage.
That's it for this deep dive, folks. Thanks for joining us on this journey.